Sio, Halito. How's everybody doing tonight? I appreciate y'all coming on in. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see y'all coming. All right, I got my disclaimer up and we gonna get started. All right, we're gonna get started. I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. Yes. All right, y'all. So we're gonna honor the great beloved women, the warrior women, the Ghigau, the beloved women, the warrior women. And we're gonna get into some ceremonial information. All right, this is the harvest time. So this is gonna be the subject matter. All right. A little knowledge, history, a little spiritual and physical medicine, indigenous medicine. All right, that good medicine for your spirit and your soul. All right, so this is the subject of the day. The subject of the day is the Ghigau warrior women, the beloved women, harvest time, ceremony, storytelling, the Aniyunwiya, the Salagi, Anakitawagi, Indigenous Heritage Month. Happy Indigenous Heritage Month to all my relations out there. Shout out to my Negro Indians representing your heritage, your genealogy, your bloodline. Shout out to you. All right. So we're going to pull this up. All right. I already showed y'all my disclaimer. I'm showing it one more again. And the things we're going to get into is here. I'm pulling it up. So, to carry the sacred flame, to be a keeper of the sacred flame, a fire keeper, to keep the culture, traditions, ceremonies of your ancestors alive, knowing who you are, who your people are, your genealogy, keeping that sacred flame lit. All right. So this is one of my designs. I do have some merch that go out to the Ghigau, the beloved warrior women, the matriarchs. All right. So later on, I will show y'all my merch if y'all want to cop some to represent the great matriarchs. All right. So we're going to get into, just so y'all can see the foundation of the word. So we're going to look at it, right? All right. Ghigau is a Jalagi title for a beloved woman or a warrior woman, war woman, bestowed upon an extraordinary woman or women who have demonstrated bravery and wisdom. This honor is granted significant political and social power, including a vote in the Council of Chiefs and sole authority over the fate of prisoners. The most famous one was Ward, all right, who was honored for her leadership in battle and served as a crucial diplomat for the Cherokee Nation. Shout out to my Kansas City Cherokee community. I appreciate y'all. I rock with y'all. All right, so significance and powers, political power. Gaga was a lifelong title that came with a seat on the Council of Chiefs and the leadership of the Council of Women, making her a key political figure. She had judicial authority. She alone decided the fate of prisoners of war, with the power to grant them freedom or condemn them to death. All right. Spiritual and symbolic role. The Cherokee, the Jalagi, Aniyunwiya, Anikitawagi believe that Great Spirit Unetlanuhi spoke through the Ghigau. All right, spoke through the sacred, beloved warrior woman. And she was sometimes given a ceremonial symbol of her office, such as a white swan's wing. She also had diplomatic influence. Gigage, like Ward, often served as diplomats and negotiators for our people in dealings with other nations. Now, I do have an ancestor. I'm going to give a shout out to my ancestor, which is of another tribe, which is my great cousin, who is Werawansqua Kokokueski of the Powhatan bloodline. She was the chief of the Pamunkey tribal nation. All right, I gotta give a shout out to her. Let me just pull her up real quick, so y'all can have a visual of what a beloved warrior woman is. Pulling it up. Thank y'all for your patience. This is my bloodline. We have the same bloodline. My great cousin, she was a beloved woman, a warrior woman, a diplomat. All right, she held the highest seat. So I want to give a shout out to her, my great cousin, Werawansqua Kokokueski. So we're going to give her a shout out. And then we're going to get back to the Jalagi Giga, the beloved woman, warrior woman. We're going to get back to that. But I just have to shout out my ancestor, one of them. All right. Great warrior women in my bloodline. All right. She was a diplomat. All right. So, all right. Now let's get back to this. All right. So, once again, the beloved women, the warrior women had political power, judicial authority, spiritual and symbolic roles, diplomatic influence. So with the spiritual and symbolic power, this brings me to one of the clans, the Paint Clan, the War Paint Clan. The Aniwodi is the clan of the medicine woman or man. Tlvdatsi. For lack of a better word, sorcerer, medicine woman or man, a high priestess or priest. These are, misnomers of it, but it is a spiritual, mental, physical medicine person, a holy person. All right. Now, this is the smallest and the most secretive clan. They are keepers of the sacred flame. Kaela et Sila Hainiyu. All right. The sacred flame is the soul of the Jalagi, the Cherokees. When the Cherokees wage war, the medicine person brings along several sacred objects, medicinal herbs, and a coal from the sacred fire. They are the only ones that are allowed to make a special red paint and dye that's used for warfare and ceremonial purposes. The clan's color for the Aniwodi is white. All right, this is why the beloved woman is given a swan wing. All right, a white swan wing is stated here. All right. So this is if you just tuning in, I'm giving a shout out to the great beloved women, the warrior women, since it is Indigenous Heritage Month. This is the harvest time. This is about ceremony. So we are digging into a little of this knowledge, okay? Now, I am going to pull up this. Here we go. So we will be stopping by this, the Swimmer manuscript. All right. James Mooney. He sat amongst the Anikitawagi and learned some of our ways with these sacred formulas and medicinal prescriptions. I have a printed out copy of this book. I've been having it for some years. I touched on it, throughout the years on my social media platforms, but we're going to look at this. So, a beloved woman will be privy to this knowledge, sacred formulas and medicinals, herbs and roots. All right. So it says right here, spiritual and symbolic role. The Giga. All right. The Aniyunwiya believed that Great Spirit or Unetlanuhi spoke through the Gigage, and she was sometimes given a ceremonial symbol of her office, such as a white swan's wing. All right. These are what comes with having the seat or the title or the mantle or the spiritual gift from Unelanuhi is the great Giga, the beloved woman or warrior woman. All right. All right, back to this. Okay, the Paint Clan, the War Paint Clan, the Aniwodi is the clan of the medicine person. All right, the Dida Nisi Lesgi. All right. This is the smallest, most secretive clan. They are keepers of the sacred flame, the Kaila Etsila Hiniyu, the soul of the Cherokees, of the Shalagi. The sacred flame is the soul of the Cherokees. When the Cherokees wage war, the medicine person brings along several sacred objects, medicinal herbs, and a coal from the sacred fire. They are the only ones that are allowed to make a special red paint and dye that is used for warfare and ceremonial purposes. The clan's color for the Aniwodi is white. All right. All right, I'm going to pull up a couple things. Let's see. So we're going to dig into this a little bit. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're just tuning in, I see the numbers jumping. So this is the subject matter of the night. All right. This is about the Ghigau, the warrior women, the beloved women, harvest time, ceremony, storytelling of the Aniyunwiya, this Indigenous Heritage Month, since we are in the harvest season. All right. So I'm going to go over some of these, some ceremonies. All right. All right. We're gonna mute this. It's not even let me. Okay. Give me a moment. Thank y'all for y'all patience. I appreciate y'all tuning in. But we're going to get to this book real quick. We're going to look at a couple of medicinals here in a minute. Peace to everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight. Y'all doing all right? All right, I'm pulling this up and we're going to get to it. All right, so this is a book of sacred formulas and medicinals. All right, from this little investigator type dude, James Mooney, right? So he sat and learned, basically from an outsider standpoint of some of the formulas, right? I gotta make this shit bigger, even though I got on my little reading glasses. All right, so we're gonna get into this, but I did want to break down the clans and the ceremonies. Let me pull that up. Hopefully y'all doing all right tonight. All right. Here we go. All right. So, All right. I'm just going to read this because the subject matter is highlighting the Giga, which is the beloved woman, the warrior woman, the matriarch. All right. Before the arrival of the Europeans, our society was entirely matriarchal, which means the descent was considered from the mother side of the family, unlike the European tradition of a woman joining a man, a man's family after marriage. The mother's family were and still are in many places the most important and powerful. A son will receive most of his life training and direction from his mother's brother, not his father. The wife owned the dwelling, and if a marriage was over, the man would return to his family and leave the house and belongings with her, with the exception of what she allowed him to take. Each person belongs to a clan of their mother. Marriage within a clan is forbidden even today. Marriage to another in the clan of your father, your paternal grandmother's clan, is also forbidden. Each clan took care of its own elderly, widows, and orphans. When visiting another's village, you were welcomed and taken care of by your own clan. Each clan was responsible for avenging wrongs and crimes against its members, many punishable by death. Captives were often adopted by clans. Once a clan adopted a captive, they were responsible for them as with all other clan members. To outsiders, adoptees were often mistaken as being slaves. Yeah, I hear that. Today, only a few of our people can identify their clan. If this information has not been handed down through the generations, it is unlikely it can be found. There are a few written records of clan membership. The council house has 7 sides, so that each clan's representatives could be seated in their own section. Cherokee ceremonies are held with the cycles of Mother Earth. During ceremony, positive attitudes are far more important than rituals. Ceremonies offer opportunities for community worship, socialization, and bonding. Ceremonial musical instruments used for dancing and festivals include drums, gourd rattles, and turtle shell rattles. I got my turtle shell. All right. Leg shackles as a part of worship. Stomp dancing is held around the sacred fire and is accompanied by drums, singing, leg shackles worn by women. Other dancing occurred in a square, a social area, usually around a center pole or social fire. This was usually an area near the council house or the longhouse. Our Cherokee ancestors tried to make each ceremony unique in some way. They were creative. Music, dancing, feasting, stickball, and storytelling were joyous expressions of thanksgiving and occasions for the Jalagi bonding at all cyclical ceremonies. A sacred fire containing 7 different types of wood to represent the 7 clans was prepared and lit prior to ceremony according to sacred rites. Direction of movement around the sacred fire during the Jalagi ceremony is counterclockwise. A complete unbroken circle of red heart people around the fire produces powerful energy of the Creator's presence, carried by the positive attitudes in the heart of the participants. All right. The first ceremony is the Great New Moon Ceremony. This is celebrated at the first new moon in autumn, October. Since autumn was the season when Cherokee stories say the world was created, it represented the New Year celebration. Each family brought some produce from their field to share, such as corn, beans, and pumpkins. Ceremonies included dancing, purification by immersing 7 times in water, called going to the water. You know, in your church, especially in those holiness churches, yeah, the churches that still got that mixture of that hoodoo. That is, they have American Indian traditions, Haitian Creole, Louisiana Creole traditions, down south, those southern tribes traditions mixed with Catholicism and Christianity. In that church, that going to the water right here, y'all see that shit going to the water? Yeah, it's an indigenous thing also. All right. This ceremony gave the Jalagi an opportunity to give thanksgiving to Great Spirit, Unetlanuhi, and the ancestors for their blessing. So, with the going counterclockwise, it's like going back in time, reverencing those that came before us, the ancestors, all right, for their um honoring us, or blessings, blessings on us. It was time to feast and give thanks to Unetlanuhi that the cycle would continue. Number 2, propitiation of cementation ceremony. This is the friendship ceremony. Celebrated 10 days after the Great New Moon ceremony. This ceremony symbolizes the unity between Unetlanuhi and woman and mankind, humans, okay? And also dealt with relationships between two people. Nah, somebody added this shit right here. Relationships between the opposite sex in marriage. It's a feminine and a masculine. All right. These relationships were bonds of eternal friendship. Oh yeah, well, friendship, it can be your homegirls or your homies, that type of thing. All right. And it can be partnerships, like with the balance element, which is woman and man, right? All right, so this is the friendship ceremony. It says these relationships were bonds of eternal friendship in which each person vowed to regard the other as himself as long as they both lived. It was a ceremony that was a pledge of universal love. It also entailed reconciliation between those who had quarreled during the previous year. So this is where you settle your differences, you get everything out on the table, and you reconcile. It is symbolized the uniting of people with Unetlanuhi and purification of body and mind. All right, spirit, body, and mind. The new moon ceremony was said to have been the most profoundly spiritual of all ceremonies. As with other observances, it is also involved in the rekindling of the sacred fire. All right, the third, the bouncing bush ceremony, which is exalting bush festival. This was a joyous ceremony where the Jalagi expressed unrestrained joy, giving thanks to Tlvdatsi, Great Spirit, Great Mystery, and his helpers, acknowledging them as the source of our blessings. Dancing and feasting abound, and thanksgiving was expressed by everyone tossing an offering of sacred tobacco in the sacred fire. All right. Number 4, the first new moon of spring ceremony. All right. Celebrated in March. At the time the green grass began to grow, fruits from the previous fall harvest were brought to ceremony and consumed to remember the continuation of Tlvdatsi's care and blessing. This festival initiated the planting season and incorporated predictions concerning crop success or failure. This is when they would see if it was the crops was going to be successful. All right. It lasted 7 days and included dancing and the relighting of the sacred fire by the fire keeper. Excuse me. Their ceremony included sacrificing a deer tongue in the fire. Can y'all hear me? Let me see. Hold on. I know my mic is on. Okay. I don't know why I'm not able to hear. Everybody in the chat, can y'all hear me? Can somebody let me know? Can y'all hear me? I appreciate it. Thank y'all for tuning in. Wado, Yakoki, Shona Bishita, everybody tuning in tonight. We're talking about the ceremonies, indigenous ceremonies, since it is Indigenous Peoples Heritage Month. And I'm going over Aniyunwiya, Jalagi ceremonies. Oh my. I don't hear no sound. Everybody in the chat, can y'all give me a thumbs up, a feather, put a feather in the chat to let me know y'all can hear me. If y'all can hear me, I appreciate it. Because it's looking like y'all can't hear me. But I see it, my mic moving like y'all can hear me. So I'm going to continue. All right. Here we go. All right. The ceremony included sacrificing a deer tongue in the fire. All the home fires were extinguished and rekindled from the sacred fire coals, symbolizing fresh beginnings and renewal of life from Mother Earth. Number 5, green corn ceremony. Celebrated in July and August. When corn is still green but fit to taste, The new corn was not to be eaten until after excuse me, the ceremony took place. Messengers, Anidohis, were sent to notify the towns of the nation about when the celebration would take place. Along the way, they gathered 7 ears of corn. All right. The number 7 is symbolic. All right. 7 ears of corn from a field of different clans. All right. After the messengers returned, the Anidohis returned, the chief and the 7 counselors fasted for 6 days. The ceremony began on the 7th. Again, the sacred fire was extinguished and rekindled. As with the first new moon ceremony, a deer tongue was sacrificed in the sacred fire. Kernels from the 7 ears of corn that had been gathered from the clans were also sacrificed, meaning they were given to Tlvdatsi, Great Spirit, Great Mystery. Food that was made from the new corn was brought to the townhouse, and everyone was fed. The chief and his or her counselors could only eat corn from the previous year's crop for another 7 days. Then you have the ripe corn ceremony, celebrated about 40 to 50 late September days after the green corn ceremony, when corn is matured. It was the only ancient ceremony that survived into the 20th century. This is the end of the national cycle of ceremonies. Thanksgiving is offered to Tlvdatsi, the creature's creator, for the harvest of mature, ripe fruit. All right, 7. The chief dance, Uku ceremony, celebrated once every 7 years. The principal Jalagi chief is carried into the sacred circle of the sacred fire on a white chair and acknowledged as the chief of all the people by each of the clans. This ceremony reminds us of the one true chief, Great Spirit Tlvdatsi, the creature's creator. Dancing and feasting follows. All right. And so we were going over the clans. Peace to everybody tuning in. All right. So we have the deer clan, Aniyunwiya, keepers of the deer. Now, for the ceremony, a deer tongue was sacrificed into the sacred fire during the ceremonies that I just read. The deer clan, they were trackers, tanners, and seamers, and keepers of deer medicine. Their color is brown, their wood is oak. And then you have the white potato clan, Anidohi, also the bear, raccoon, or blind savannah clan, makers of flour and bread from wild potatoes. Members were farmers, gatherers of the wild potatoes. Ghigage, meaning swamp. Keepers and protectors of the earth. Their color is green. The wood is birch. Then you have the Aniyunwiya, the wolf clan. Keepers of the wolf, brave warriors, warrioresses, the Gigage, or the warrior women, protectors of the people. The war chief usually came from this clan. The color is red. The wood is hickory. All right. You have the blue or the panther clan, the Anidohi, also called the wildcat clan, named the blue clan because of the blue medicine. All right. The clan was made from the plants to keep the children from becoming. Okay. The color is blue. The wood is ash. All right. Ash is a special wood. All right. Then you've got the long hair clan, which is the Anidohi. Also sometimes called the Twister, the Hair Hanging Down, or Wind Clan. Its members were teachers, keepers of traditions. Galahi is short for ancient Gitlagunahita, the Warrior Women's Society. All right. The Warrior Women's Society, meaning something that grows from the back of the neck. Those belonging to this clan wore their hair in elaborate hairdos. The peace chief usually came from this clan. The color is yellow and the wood is beech. All right. Shout out to the long hair clan. All right. Bird clan. Ani Tisqua. Keepers of the birds, the sacred feathers, and bird medicine. And bird medicine. Members of this clan were the messengers, the Anidohis, and were highly skilled at using blowguns and snare traps. The color was purple and the wood was maple. And they list the wood because with the sacred fire, they will have several different um, wood pieces in the fire. All right, representing the 7 clans. All right, so you have maple is the wood. It says the messengers were highly skilled at using blowguns and snare traps. Then you have the paint clan, Aniwodi, the fire keepers, keepers of the sacred flame, um, makers of the red paint that's used in war, the medicine women or men, the wise men or women. They add the word sorcerers in there, but it's the medicine people. All right. With that spiritual and physical medicine. All right. The color is white and the wood is locust wood. So these are just the ceremonies, all 7. All 7. So right now, this is the great new moon ceremony. We are between these ceremonies. All right. We had this in October, and this is the friendship ceremony. All right. So this is what's going on today, around this time, the harvest and the friendship ceremony. All right. All right, and we did talk about the beloved women, so we just gonna touch on Selu also because the green corn ceremony or ripe corn ceremony, I did touch on that, but it is a multi-day event, renewal, Thanksgiving, and purification. It's held in the late summer or early fall when the corn is ripe. So you got the green corn ceremony and the ripe corn ceremony. Rituals include cleansing in moving water, extinguishing and rekindling a sacred fire, ceremonial dances, and feasts that often include the 3 sisters, the corn, beans, and squash, the crops. The ceremony also marks the Aniyunwiya Jalagi New Year with a focus on forgiveness and preparing for the coming year. All right. So we have Thanksgiving and renewal, cleansing, the sacred fire, dances, and feasting. So it's just reiterating what I already read. So let's see. Bam. So Selu is the great corn mother. The ceremony is deeply connected to the legend of Selu, the great corn mother, who sacrificed herself to provide corn for her people. The symbol of life. Corn is seen as a sacred gift and a symbol of life, sustenance, and interconnectedness of living things. Community and harmony. The celebration brings the community together to forgive, to start fresh, and to give thanks for the bounty of the earth. And I did do some merch in honor of Selu. I'm going to pull up her pictures. I have some pictures pulled up. All right, let's see. I'm going to pull that up real quick. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. We're going to pull her up, give an honor to my culture, my ancestors' culture. So I'm going to pull that up real quick. Does anybody have any comments or questions in the chat? So with my merch, this is honoring my indigenous ancestors. So we have honor and respect my ancestors, my culture, my land. So I have coffee, tea mugs, blankets, shirts, and I am looking for the Selu. I got the Sacred Fire one. This is the Fire Keeper one. The Sacred Fire Keeper. So if y'all want to support, y'all can get this. You know, I try to show these every year for the last couple of years. Depending on what ceremonial time it is or what season it is, I share it. But you can get this at any time. So the Corn Maiden, which is Selu, or the Great Corn Mother, really my A's. But this is in honor of the Great Corn Maiden and our ancient stories about many different things. But Selu is the story about the Great Corn Mother who sacrificed herself so that we could have maize or maize, or today is corn. All right, so I got a couple of things honoring that ancient story of my ancestors. So, to all my beloved women out there, my Gigos, my holy Topa Ishkis, my beloved women out there, y'all want to, support and still get the Corn Maiden Selu, some merch that honors her. That story, the story of my ancestors. Let me pull this up. So, okay, I'm going to pull this up real quick. And I usually focus on Selu around green corn and ripe corn ceremonial time. I hope y'all doing all right in the chat. Y'all kind of quiet tonight. I guess y'all just looking and observing, soaking it in. So, Selu is the great corn mother, the corn woman. She is referred to as the first woman that represents corn, maize. Her name means maize. All right. And it's different versions of her story. It's kind of like a story of some men that fear women's power. But women sometimes make sacrifices for the greater good of the people. So they put these allegorical stories. A lot of cultures, especially in my bloodline, they use a lot of ancient storytelling to describe something where they simplify it, and it has a simple but complex, deep spiritual meaning, but they just break it down in these stories where they tell you these stories about a sacred fire. All right. And there is a story that says that she was unalived by her twin sons who feared her power. It's other versions, but with her dying instructions, she taught them to plant and farm corn so that her spirit was resurrected with each harvest. So it's about resurrection. Don't that sound familiar with the Jesus story, right? Sacrifice and resurrection. All right. But this is the great mother. All right. One of the great mothers. So it's different books about Selu. And here's one if y'all want to, tap into books about Selu. So let's see. I'm gonna see if this is moving right. Oh yeah, I hear it.
I'm gonna see if this is
all right. Let me see if it was doing it earlier. Let's see.
If this is moving right.
Okay, I can hear it. The sound was good. Thank y'all for telling me. But okay, so let's go back to the ceremonies, right? So around this time, we have the friendship ceremony, the harvest ceremony, and the friendship ceremony. But I did just want to focus on Selu because she's the great matriarch. All right. So this ceremony list. Let me go back to the ceremony list. Where is that? Okay, right here. All right. So it's the friendship ceremony, which is celebrated 10 days after the Great New Moon ceremony. This ceremony symbolizes the unity between Unelanuhi, the creatress of humans, woman and man. And it's also dealt with friendships, all right, and partnerships, all right. These relationships were bonds of eternal friendship in which each person vowed to regard the other as himself as long as they both lived. It was a ceremony that was a pledge of love, basically. Love. That could be, love for your relations, your family, or friendly love, or husband and wife love. All right. It also entailed reconciliation between those who had quarrels during the previous year. It symbolized the uniting of the people with Tlvdatsi, the creator, creatress, and purification of body, spirit, and mind. The new moon ceremony was said to have been the most profoundly spiritual of all ceremonies. As with other observances, it is also involved in rekindling the sacred fire. All right, here we go. Let's see. I did pull that up with the sacred fire, and then we're going to get to the book. Because we did touch on the paint clan, the war paint clan, the Aniwodi, the fire keepers, the keepers of the sacred flame, the medicine people, the Dida les Nisi les Gi. All right, the medicine people. This is the smallest, most secretive clan. They are the keepers of the sacred flame. Shout out to my Aniwodis out there. All right. Kaela et Sila He Ni You, the soul of the Jalagis. So the fire, the sacred flame, is the soul of the Cherokee, the Jalagi, who wage war. When they wage war, the medicine people bring along several sacred objects, medicinal herbs, and a coal from the sacred fire. They are the only ones that are allowed to make a special red paint and dye that are used for warfare and ceremonial purposes. All right, they also do have clear quartz or different sacred stones and rocks. All right, the clan color is white of the Aniwodi. All right. And yeah, I can look at this. But a while ago I revisited the Anikutani. And I have like an old video where I kind of talked about that, but the sacred priesthood or the priestesshood, now with the long hair clan, it has the Wombmen society. All right. So this is just talking about, how some people that are unlearned, they view things as, in a negative sense, like, oh, it's witchcraft and sorcery in a negative tone. But they look at, religions like Abrahamic religions, like, okay, prophesying and laying hands and going to the water. I just read that to y'all earlier about going to the water and dipping in the water 7 times. That's an indigenous ceremony. So yeah, I have some other stuff in there that just talked about the spirit. So this was some similarities of other tribes that focus on the sacred fire. Yeah, so let's look at this. So I refurbished this, but I shared this a while ago. But this was one of me and my family's fires that we did for one of our ceremonies. Anybody got any comments or questions in the chat? I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Y'all kind of quiet tonight, but I thought I would come on here and do an impromptu, live because, everybody is celebrating the harvest or quote unquote Thanksgiving. It is all right to be thankful and have family time with your family, but you also want to know about the different stories about like the Wampanoag and the treachery that happened. You want to know about the treachery, about the quote unquote the pilgrims and how they, you know, did some treachery with poison and all kind of shit. So you want to know about the real, what happens, and then you want to know about your ancestors' ceremonies. And I shared with y'all some of my ancestors' ceremonies. I broke down the 7 main ceremonies to y'all. And I brought up the Aniwodi because we're going to look at this book. All right, Swimmer's Manuscript. We're going to revisit this again. So, but once again, shout out to my Kansas City Cherokee community. I appreciate y'all. I really do. I rocks with y'all. All right. So, before we dive into this book, I'm going to just like show just a little bit of how I celebrate my ancestors' culture. My family is a gumbo pot, so we have several indigenous tribal nations in my bloodline. All right, so I'm gonna pull this up really quick. And this was at one of the Kansas City Cherokee community meetings. So shout out to them. I want to give them a shout out because they have embraced me and loved me over the years. And my daughter is a citizen, a member of the Cherokee Nation through her father's side. Even though my bloodline is also Jalagi, Aniyunwiya, Anikituwagi. But she is a citizen. All right. I am a member of the Kansas City Cherokee community. And I learned my ancestors' culture, traditions, and ways. I learned the language. I learned how to do some of our crafts, like make corn husk dolls, medicine bags, all kind of crafts that our ancestors have done. So this is a picture of the corn husk doll that I made with my own hands. And shout out to the Kansas City Cherokee community for this because it helps me tap into one of the tribal nations that's in my genealogy and my bloodline through the McCoys and the McGees, also the Fops. All right. So earlier I showed y'all my Pamunkey Powhatan ancestor. So if y'all new to my channel, I am known as the ancestral shapeshifter because my bloodline is a Creole gumbo pot of different indigenous bloodlines, tribal nations. All right. So this is the corn husk doll that I made, and this is a book that I got at the meeting. This is me holding my doll that I made. Oh, let's get that off the screen about the. Oh, okay. I thought that was about Okay. Anyway, so yeah, so this is me tapping into, my ancestors' culture and traditions. And this is what I just showed y'all. But I had some other pictures with it. I'm gonna see if it'll show it. I'll pause it, but I appreciate y'all. Because I showed y'all the clans and the 7 ceremonies. And if y'all go way back in my channel, where I was at a meeting and one of our relations broke down, that it was more clans. They said it was 12 before it got, condensed to 7. So she tells about that story, and then her son told the story. So I soak up, some of my ancestors' cultural traditions, and every 2 years we do have a chief's barbecue. I don't really like to say the word picnic, and I didn't make it to Chief Hoskins one that he came, but the previous Chief Baker, I was at the one where he was there. I thought I had put some other pictures here. But anyway, anybody got any comments or questions in the chat? Okay. I know everybody's cooking and partaking in some libations right about now. Okay, so this was me outside of one of the meetings, and this was a real big one where people were also getting their membership cards, their citizenship, taking their pictures for their cards. And they had a lot of, activities, fun things for the children. They had speakers. It was really nice. And the one where I was with Miss Cherokee, that was at that's when Chief Baker was there. And I don't even know why I called him Sneed on my partnership channel, but I did make a correction about that. But yeah, so this is just me and my shirt representing. So, all right, let's get to the book. Oh, I did want to show y'all one more thing before we get to the book. We play some educational games to help, learn our language, our ancestors' language. And I'm going to pull that up really quick. But yeah, this one was at Chief Baker was here. It was his barbecue a couple of years ago. This is where I took this picture. And then me and my mother, we went to one where they had newer Miss Cherokee there. All right, so we also do, crafts to help us learn our language. So we did Cherokee bingo, and I wrote my name, which is Golanv, Gigage, Tawodi, Tlvdatsi, which is Raven, Red Tail, Hawk, Jaguar. All right, so we did Cherokee bingo, and you can see the words So we'll go over these and then we're going to get to that book with some medicinals. We're going to look at some herbs and roots in there. All right. Butterfly is Kamama. Wolf is Waya. Owl is Wahuhi. Goose is Sasa. Horse is Soquili. Turtle is Unawi. And my elder Mike that passed away, his name was Unawi. Rabbit is Tasisdu. Bear is Yona. Turkey is Guna. Deer is Awi. Duck is Kawonu. Snake is Inada. Hog, pig is Sikwa. Buzzard is Suli. Chicken is Sitaga. Crow is Guga. All right. Cow is Waga. Fish is Atsadi. Atsadi. Frog is Walosi. I did do a video years ago about the frog swallowing the sun, which is another ancient story. All right, you got the bobcat, which is Guhi. Beaver, Duya. Otter is Tasiya. Bird is Sisqua. And cat is Wesa. So these were, y'all see my bingo card. I didn't have none, across, vertical or horizontal or diagonal. I didn't get bingo. Somebody else got bingo that day. So that was a cool activity. Yeah, so we made medicine bags. We had story time about the Jakula, which is the Sasquatch. I did post that. Let me see. Did I post it on here? I'm gonna pull that up. And they told us some ancient stories about the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, which is Jakula. All right, let me see. I'm gonna pull it up. Thank y'all for rocking with me tonight. I know y'all cooking and pouring libations. All right, I'm showing this. Okay. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. Can I make it bigger? I'm gonna try to make it bigger and share it. And this was the words to show us, which was the winning words for Cherokee Bingo, Jalagi Bingo. Yeah, so that's just, of me. I have some more footage too, but of different activities, learning activities, you know, to help you learn your ancestors' culture. I'm gonna find the one with okay. This one was the medicine bag. So, oh, and I was gonna find the Sasquatch, Jacula, and one of the members dresses up as Jacula at, I would say, most of the meetings. Jacula is riding a bike, walking around, and taking pictures with the children, all of that. I think I shared it on here. Oh, yeah, right here. There you go. I was like, this is awesome. I love this. It's just ancient story. Okay. So that was one of the, yeah. All right. So we're gonna get to the book, and this is about uh, Indigenous Heritage Month this month, and learning your genealogy, learning your ancestors' culture, ways, traditions, language, etc. And um, I can do better on my language because I know some words. I know a lot of animal words. I know basic phrases, but I gotta do better. I gotta do better with that. And I'll be the first one to tell you I gotta do better with that. And I will share this right quick. I do, even though I showed y'all my disclaimer, I'm also sharing this. All right. So, attention, new subscribers. A message from Christina, RRJXi Tips. Here on my page, on my social media platforms, you will observe an eclectic gumbo pot of my Creole, Creolos, and Indigenous ancestors, spirituality, and culture. My individual views, products, and services, not the specific views of the tribal nations I am personally affiliated with. Enjoy your browsing experience. Christina, Raven, Redtail, Hog, Jaguar, She, Gulana, Gigage, Tawodi, Tlvdatsi, the ancestral shapeshifter. All right, so I showed y'all my disclaimer, my other disclaimer, and we're gonna get into this. This is the meat and potatoes, and we're gonna close out at 2 hours. So with the ceremony, the ceremonial part, we're gonna look at this book with the herbs and the roots. All right, here we go. So this is Swimmer's Manual. All right. James Mooney. He did eavesdrop, basically observe, and got some some herbs and some root recipes and formulas, etc. And he studied. All right, so let's see. All right, we got supernatural causes, spirits, sun, fire, moon, river, thunder, red man, two little red man, purple man, blue man, black man, etc. The little people, we not even gonna go there. The animal spirits, okay. A lot of stuff in this book. So for those who like book references, book sources, here you go. Sacred numbers. All right. Let's look at some diet stuff. We'll start out with that. No, yeah. Yeah, we'll start out with that. So, got dreams. All right. 67. Let's go to page 67. All right, we're going to go to page 67 and look at some herbs and roots. All right, so once again, this is Swimmer's Manual. All right. So let's look at this. All right. Okay. So this is just the take on what's things that cause disease, right? And these are some things that promote healing. I am not a medical doctor. I am reading from a book. All right. I am reading from a book. So don't get it twisted. All right. And I'm going to show my disclaimer again because this is fair use. This is for teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted. Education. All right. So let's go. And I do have this book printed out. All right. So, okay. All right. So basically, they were trying to see the medicine man. All right. And he's writing about it. So the mother got cloth and beads, and the medicine man examined her once more. But again, he found that the boy was very poor and that, oh my goodness, let me find some. Let me go to the. We're gonna get to the meat and potatoes. I'm not just gonna be reading filler shit. We about to get to the meat and the potatoes. Okay. Okay, laurel leaves. All right, let's look at this. All right, so they talking about surgery right here. As compared with the rest of their uh, medical practice, surgery, but also represented in Cherokee curing methods. However, what little there is of sufficient interest and importance to be entitled to a short synthetic description. As the first in importance, the different methods of scarification deserve to be mentioned. Scarification is still practiced extensively, and I may add intensively, not merely by the medicine men, but also by the uninitiated. This is, what he's saying, right? This is his account. So you're gonna have to like dodge the hijack. Like, chew the meat and spit the bones out type of thing. All right, sift through it. You gotta, whenever you're reading something, you gotta sift through it. You gotta fact check or compare it to other sources, right? So, right here they talking about scarification. The ball players are still subjected to it, as has been minutely described by Mooney. The scratching of the ball players is usually practiced by means of kanuga. All right, let's see. Instrument. This is a comb-like device and is quite a remarkable specimen of primitive invention spirit. This is his take on it, remember. All right. It is made of 7 splinters. 7 is a important number. All right. 7 splinters of bone of a turkey leg set into a frame of turkey quill. The quill is folded over in 4 parts of pretty equal dimensions so as to form a rectangular frame 5 centimeters by 4 centimeters. Where the 2 extremities meet, they are tied together. And the 7 bone splinters, about 5 centimeters long and 3 millimeters broad at the top, sharpened to a keen point at the bottom, like scarification, like kind of between like a tattoo and a brand, scarification. All right, are then struck through the upper part of the quill frame with intervals of not more than 1 or 2 millimeters. They are then also stuck through the bottom part of the frame, 1 or 2 millimeters of their cutting extremity piercing the frame at the bottom. With these 7 sharp points, the scratches are inflicted, and the ingenious way in which they are mounted prevents them from piercing so deep into the flesh. So this is like, like I said, getting a tattoo, scarification is kind of like between a combination of, a tattoo and not like the burning of a brand, but scarification can like okay, but anyway, y'all get what I'm saying, right? All right. It says it does this, it prevents from piercing so deep into the flesh as to inflict serious wounds. All right. Although only the ball players are now being scratched by this instrument, there are good reasons to believe that formerly it was also used in the treatment of certain ailments, where now such objects as flint arrowheads, briars, and laurel leaves are used. Laurel leaves is also used in other traditions. They'll smoke them like it gives off this it makes a person relax so that they can tap into like the spiritual realm, right? All right. Moreover, there seems to be a tendency nowadays for scarification to develop from a mythical surgical operation, as Mooney still found it 40 years ago in a rite of purely symbolic nature. In many instances, he observed that not only no gashes were inflicted, so they had a science to it. They did it just right. All right. And he's like taking notes and shit. But that not even a particle of blood was drawn during the operation. Okay, and he speaks on rheumatism, all right, and ailments which from a Cherokee Jalagi point of view are related to this disease, are universally treated by this scratching method. The scarifying is here done by means of a flint. A flint is kind of like a knife, an arrowhead, a sharp object, preferably of the black variety. So, like a obsidian, that's what I think of. A dark stone, a dark obsidian arrowhead. Old medicine men or women assert that this is the only variety that should be used. All right. But as this kind of arrowhead is getting scarce, there is a tendency to use any other kind. A still more curious shifting to a new position is shown in the custom, which is rapidly gaining ground, according to which scratching is simply neglected, but an unworked piece of flint, all right, also called a dawiskula, is merely held against the sore joint, the formula for scratching being recited at the same time. Schematically, this evolution could be represented as follows: a black flint arrowhead to scratch with, any arrowhead to scratch with, any piece of black flint held against the aching spot. So they use this method to treat rheumatism, all right, uh, aching joints. So let's go back to the table of contents because I'm gonna read something else, and then we're gonna close out because I ain't getting long winded. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my night, but I did want to come on here and do an impromptu video since it is Indigenous Peoples Heritage Month, and this is like the friendship ceremony, harvest ceremonial season. All right. So I did want to come on here and you got some notes in here. Okay, so all right, so we got the writer of the manuscript, Swimmer. And he was an informant and interpreter. Okay, so they do have some words in here. All right, I want to get to the table of contents though. Okay, this is talking about disease and its nature and its causes. Nature of disease, how it is caused. So And some beliefs is caused by spirits or like basically what's going on in your inner body, basically stress, things of that nature can bring on dis-ease. So they do talk about that. Let's go to the beginning. I'm gonna look at the table of contents. We're not gonna be playing. Okay. All right. I'm gonna pick since I wanted to get a recipe and a story. Ancient story time. I did, even though I did show Jakula, which is the Sasquatch Bigfoot. I did wanna natural causes. Surgery. We were there. Okay, prescriptions as to diet and taboo 64. And then we'll do a story and close out. Yeah, they get into like some spiritual things that promote healing, I would say. Okay, so the claim to aboriginality of the other instance, however, rests on the sound and solid basis in some Deloni diseases. All right. The sufferer goes to the river in their vomits. That's like purification. All right. The formula that they took promoted this, right? The medicine, the herbs and roots that they took made them go to the river and then they vomited. The formula recited on this occasion sends the illness along with the vomit. So they vomited out, floating down the river to the settlements where other people live, and it transfers the ailment to them. This practice is so reminiscent of other Cherokee incantation ceremonies that there is no doubt about its being indigenous. Vomiting into the river is also very common with merely the object in mind to get rid of the disease, without the intention of being explicitly present of transferring it to the people living in the other settlements, right? So he's breaking down the indigenous aspect of it. All right. So it's not about sending it down there where the other people live. All right. On the other side of the river. Okay. Whether this intention, blah, 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 he said. Anyway, a method that is, again, very frequently met with various countries among different tribes. All right. That is a one based on the belief that the ailment can be banished, the pain can be diminished by symbolic means. So he's basically tapping into, some spiritual practices that a medicine person would do, whether it's a woman or a man. All right, these different spiritual practices that are symbolic. All right, this gradually diminishing the number of ingredients in a decoction by calling the disease by a series of names or objects of diminishing size. This practice is found in the Cherokee custom of curing certain ailments by drinking medicine all day long the first day. So drinking medicine, when they say medicine, is herbs and roots. All right. Put in water. Okay, put in water or some kind of liquid, right? So drinking medicine all day long first until noon the second day, until about 10 a.m. the third day, and until breakfast the fourth day. So drinking this medicinal herbal root uh, recipe. All right. Another method is scratching and sucking and burying the disease, or methods that are being discussed with reference to the chirurgical uh, chirurgical methods of curing. If none of the multifarious methods described above brings any relief to the patient, and if it is deemed that no chances for his or her recovery exist, a last effort is made. The patient called, let us say, climbing bear, is abandoned to the disease, but a new name is bestowed upon the sufferer. Henceforth, he will be called, let us say, cutting axe. And while the diseased spirit may temporarily be deluded and gloat over his success in bringing climbing bear to his doom, a new series of treatments is inaugurated by the concerted action of the medicine man or woman and the patient's relatives to save cutting axe. A man who owes his name, a lick, to such a procedure is now living on the reservation not far from Big Cove. A mode of curing to be mentioned finally, which may not affect a cure by its sole power, yet is found associated so often with other curing methods that it should not be passed over in silence. I mean, circumambulation, so prominent in primitive rites in general, and in American Indian ceremonialism particularly. In many cases, before administering the medicine man or woman circumambulates the patient. The rite is moreover practiced. All right, making this bigger. Is a preventative measure against the machinations of witches, and with a view to facilitating delivery at the time of particulation. I hate the way they writing this shit, but anyway, the dextral circuit sunwise seems to be the most common and original one, and the sinistral circuit is, however, not unknown and may have its origin in the symbolical reversion of that which is customary. Just say what the fuck it is. Okay. To close this survey, which is, to the best of my knowledge, is complete, it may be well to state that all of these methods are only practiced by the medicine woman or man. All a layman may venture to do so is to give a patient his medicine to drink, or to give him an additional concoction, basically inunction of his decoction. But all this only under the explicit direction of a worthy practitioner. So he's saying, and he said all that to fucking say, if you're not a medicine woman or man, you have to be somebody that is a worthy practitioner. So basically, in a nutshell, in this book, it's spiritual ways to heal and it's herbal and root ways to heal. And it also deals with your spirit, your mental, and your physical. The healing. All right. So let's see. Okay, so this says that what he noticed in the phase in Cherokee treatment of disease, they are dealing with entities of a purely mythological nature. Uh, every observant reader, when looking over the formulas, will be okay. So high food and salt. Something about high food and salt. And then he talks about how food that was introduced by white people, such as canned goods, coffee, sugar, but we know coffee comes from the diaspora, Ethiopia, but okay. All right. And what I take it is, he's saying these foods that was bought by the white people was causing dis-ease. Basically, that's what it looks like he's saying in a nutshell. So basically, y'all should, look at this book if you want to know about a take on the different spiritual practices on how to cure or promote healing of dis-ease. So salt and high food is prohibited when they are basically trying to heal. Fruits and vegetables, basically. So your diet, when you're trying to heal yourself, you're gonna be eating, food like herbs and roots and fruits, not hot food and all of that. But I just hate how when he goes on this tangent using all these other words, and I'm like, just say the shit. Okay. So then he talks about, okay, when a person is spitting up blood, it is caused by eating too much salt. And it talks about hemorrhaging, wounds, menstruation, partus, etc. So basically, this book is about formulas. And they saying, okay, under treatment for rheumatism, you have to abstain from eating squirrel, rabbit meat, all right, because of the hunchback position. That is so characteristic of these animals. The one suffering from diarrhea should not eat fish or chicken because the feces of these animals would seem to indicate that they were chronically afflicted with this very disease. So they paid attention to the animal's behavior and what was going on with the animals. So basically, if the animals was like dying or they was sick, then you don't eat that meat. All right. It's kind of like you don't eat no poisonous fruit or no bad meat, basically. Um, if you have watery blisters, you should abstain from all juicy fruits and vegetables. So they give all these different formulas. I just wanted to read a little bit of it. We're not going to go hard with all of that, but I am going to look at a spiritual one. Let's go to the spirits. 19, or the animal spirits, 25. So we got 19 and 25. I'm almost at my 2-hour mark. Oh, I went too far. All right, let's look at. Oh, okay. Oh, it ain't going there like I wanted to. Okay. Let's get this shit out of here. All right. All right. So. Okay, so it's a list of spirits on page 44 and 50. So he observed one of the observers, informants, they called him, help observe and record this. Let's go to this. Let's see. Okay. Look at this right here. It says another method to prevent a witch from approaching is to direct smoke of old tobacco against the several points of the compass, as will be found on page 75. So basically, somebody would say, oh, he's tapping into the superstitions or blah blah, the taboos, etc. Let's go to the animal spirits. Dreams. They got the nerve to talk about they got the nerve to talk about ministration in here. I wonder, did they get a Giga, a beloved woman or a warrior woman, to speak on this? This is interesting. And I did go through this book before. but it's just, I'm just like, I know I got frustrated with how they word shit. Um, so it's just talking about when the wise women, the beloved warrior women, they have ceremony and they go to their own lodge basically when they're ministrating, when they are in labor, when they're ministrating, etc. Interesting. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, they talk about dreams in here. So this is an interesting book if y'all want to get it or print it off or purchase it. Y'all can do that. I ain't looked at this book in a long time. All right, let's see. I want to get to the animal spirits. I forgot. Oh, hell no. I'm going too far. I forgot what page it was on. I need to get them numbers out of there. But they got a lot of interesting stuff in here, yeah. They do. So the medicine man or woman, initiation, formulas, 144, gathering medicine, 150. Let's look at using tobacco. Let's look at that. I know I'm all over the place. 151. So we got 151. I'm gonna remember that. 151. And the animal spirits is on. So we got 151 and 25 and 151. All right, 25 animal spirits and 151. All right, let's look at this. All right, we'll just look at some animal spirits. All right, so the animal spirits so frequently mentioned in the Cherokee formulas are by no means thought to be identical with the specimens of our earthly fauna. Okay, let's go down here. So it says they look at how they behave, what color they are, white, red, blue, etc. Okay, it says brown otter, but also a red one, a blue one, etc. So they going over the colors. All right, the motive of these animal spirits in sending disease. So basically in anything there is medicine or poison. So this is basically he's going over the different aspects of that. It could be self-defense, the spirit of vengeance, so this is another reason why you do like a ceremony, or you say words of power, affirmation, or prayer when you cleanse or purify an animal before you eat it, and you give thanks, etc. They had some things about tobacco also. So they do have a list. They keep referring to page 44 through 50. And then 151. So they talk about, okay, in everything, even in a lot of different cultures, spirituality, some things are good, some things are bad. In essence, it's positive and negative. All right, so it says, since in the Aboriginal belief as well as in the formulas, these spirits always appear and behave according to these rigidly circumscribed patterns. A complete survey can best be given in an index. So basically, they make a list of the shit. So it's either going to be medicine, it's going to either be deer medicine or poison. So some things can promote poisonous things like disease, etc., or healing, good health. So that's in a nutshell. And they have a lot of like poetic ways to view it, etc., symbolically spiritual ways to describe it. All right. 151, and I'm closing out. Seriously. But I thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with me. I know I kind of got in relaxed mode. And I just wish that they wrote this book like in just like clear cut terms. The view on the afterlife, etc. They got all kind of stuff in here. All right. So these are the formulas. So they do give some formulas in here. All right. I'm just looking through because I'm not reading all this. Okay, so he's talking about the sacred knowledge. So y'all can get this book if y'all want to read it. I know I have read this book, but I have thumbed through it basically. I thumbed through it. I didn't read every single word, but a long time ago when I got it and I printed it out, I did look at some of these formulas and some of the things, and like I said, you gotta look at the shit and you gotta sift through it. Dodge the hijack. Sift through it. So this book is like a mixture of indigenous people, their perspective of it, and non-indigenous people's perspective of it. It's all in this book. So if y'all want to read this or look at it, y'all can go look it up. So it's about the allegorical stories, the ancient stories, and the myths, taboos, etc. So what causes healing, what causes disease, different formulas. You can check it out. About the herbs and the roots. This is similar to like hoodoo, which deals with the healing of herbs and roots. So we do have similarities. So sometimes I like to look at the similarities, what we have in common, what are our parallels. Okay, so I'm gonna close out, but let me go to the beginning of the book. So if you just tuning in, this is the book. Swimmer's manuscript. All right, the Swimmer manuscript. All right. Cherokee Sacred Formulas and Medicinal Prescriptions by James Mooney. Revised, completed, and edited by Franz M. Obrex. That's why that shit is written like that, because he revised this. So this is a book y'all can look up, check it out. All of that, you can check it out. You can check out this book. This is a book. All right, y'all, I'm closing out. I've been on here 2 hours and 11 minutes. I'm gonna finish what I was doing prior, and I'm gonna close out. I appreciate y'all, those who tuned in. I appreciate y'all. If y'all having ceremony or your own family ceremony, shout out to y'all. You're having family dinner. Shout out to y'all. So I appreciate y'all. If y'all want to support, I did show y'all my merch earlier throughout this live. If you go to all my social media platforms, in the description and even some of my prior lives, I'll have to add the link in this one to my store, which I did share, and I'm gonna show the matriarch, um, honoring the matriarch, products. All right, let's go. All right. Okay. So this is honor, respect my ancestors' culture, my land. And it has a dress, a skirt, a ribbon skirt. I designed this. So this is honoring the great Indigenous matriarchs. So happy Indigenous Heritage Month. If y'all want to support, y'all can support. I believe these are I have to talk to them about which ones are available. I know the mugs are available. I don't know if the blanket is available. It should be now since it's freaking almost winter. It's still, it's on the precipice of winter. So this is honoring the matriarchs. If y'all want to go cop some and support, I appreciate y'all. Wado Yakoki Shonabis to everybody who tuned in or just, was in and out and observed. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. And y'all have a good harvest time, family time with your family because everybody's off tomorrow. Well, a lot of people are off. I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people are off. So enjoy time with your family, with your relations. All right, y'all. Peace.